Good morning, my dear children. Today we are going to revise for our half-yearly examination. The portion for your half-yearly examination is Lesson 1, Computers in the Past, Lesson 2, Computer Software, and Lesson 3, Page Formatting in Word. I'll repeat: Lesson 1, Computers in the Past, Lesson 2, Computer Software, and Lesson 3, Page Formatting in Word. The pattern is you will be having choose the correct answer, fill in the blanks, true or false, and names of inventors of machines. First, choose the correct answer. There will be 4 choose the correct answer. Each one carries half mark and totally 2 marks for choose the correct answer. Then fill in the blanks. There will be 4 fill in the blanks. Each one carries 1 mark, totally 4 marks for the fill in the blanks. Next, true or false. There will be 4 true or false. Each one carries half a mark and totally 2 marks for true or false. Then at last, names of inventors of machines. It will be given in the first lesson. You should read from the first lesson. I will give 2 in this Roman number and each one carries 1 mark, totally 2 marks for this Roman number. Totally you are going to write for 10 marks. First, we will revise lesson number 1, Computers in the Past. In this lesson, we are going to revise all these topics. First topic is a history of computers. Second one, early calculating devices. Third one, laying the foundations of the modern computer. Next, generations of computers. At last, types of computers. Now, we will see all these topics one by one. Our first topic is a history of computers. Now we will see a simple history about the computers. The word computer is derived from the word compute. Computer is the word that is derived from the word compute. Compute means to calculate. Compute means to calculate. That is, computers are mainly used for calculation purpose. Computers make our work easier. Since it is a machine, it makes our work easier so that it will take less time to calculate or to compute and do all the tasks that we give to the computer. Now we will see about the early calculating devices. These are the devices that we used before inventing the computer. Before inventing the computer also, we have done many calculations using different devices. These are all the devices that we used for those calculations. Here I have given the device name, invented by, used to do, and the description about the device. There is no other way you should remember this. That's why I have given this in the form of tabular column so that you can remember it easily. The first device is abacus. Many of them should know this device, that is abacus. It was invented in 3000 BCE. It is used to do addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. With the help of abacus, we can do addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Abacus is made up of wooden frame. There are 2 parts in the abacus. They are heaven and earth, which has rods with beads. There are 2 parts, heaven and earth. Both the heaven and earth have rods and beads. The second device is Napier's bones. It was invented by John Napier in 1617. It is used to do multiplication. With the help of this device, that is Napier's bones, we can do multiplication. It was a set of 10 rods with numbers carved on them. It has a set of 10 rods with the numbers on them. You can see the images in your book. Third device is Pascaline. It was invented by Blaise Pascal in 1642. It is used to do addition and subtraction. With the help of Pascaline, you can do addition and subtraction. It consisted of a rectangular box with display boxes and dials. It consists of a rectangular box which has display boxes and dials. If you see the picture in the book, you can understand it easily. Last one is Leibniz calculator. It was invented by Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz in 1672. It is used to do addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. It was based on the Pascaline. Like Pascaline, it can do addition, subtraction and also extra multiplication and division. It was based on the principle that is used in the Pascaline. Next, laying the foundations of the modern computer. This is the time in which modern computers were started to develop. The first one is Charles Babbage. He is known as the father of computers. He designed the machines called difference engine in the year 1822 and analytical engine in the year 1833. It had 5 units, that is input, output, store, mill and control. It can accept the input, give the output, store it, mill and control the whole device. The second one is Augusta Ada Lovelace. She is the first programmer. Input is stored as ones and zeros. In the device that she invented, the input will be stored in the form of binary data, that is ones and zeros. Whatever input we give, it will be stored as zeros and ones. The third one is George Boole. He formed the fundamental principle called Boolean logic. He formulated a fundamental principle called Boolean logic. All problems are reduced to series of values either true or false. The result will be either true or false. For any problem, the result will be either true or false. This is the principle invented by George Boole. Next one is John von Neumann. He designed the machine with single separate memory. It can store both data and instruction in binary code. This single separate memory can store the data in the form of binary code. Next one is Hermann Hollerith. He designed a machine called tabulating machine. It can read and process data input given to punched cards. The input will be given to the punched cards and it can read and process that data. The next one is Howard Hathaway Aiken. He designed a machine called Harvard Mark I. It is a calculator that automatically executes long computations. It is like calculator. It can execute long computations. That is a big problem. The next one is generations of computers. We are going to see different machines that are used in different generations and the technology used in those machines. First, we will see first generation computers. They were used in the year 1940 to 1956. The technology used in those machines, in those first generation computers, is vacuum tubes. Vacuum tubes were used for first generation computers. The names of the machines, that is examples, are ENIAC, EDVAC and UNIVAC 1. These are the first generation computers. Next, second generation computers. These were used between the years 1956 to 1963. Transistors were used in the second generation computers. The example for this generation computers is IBM 1400 series and IBM 300. Next, third generation computers. They were used between the years 1964 to 1971. Integrated circuits were the technology used in this generation. For example, IBM 360, IBM 370 and Apple I are the machines that were used in the third generation computers. Next, fourth generation computers. They were used from the 1971 till now. Till present, we are using fourth generation computers. The technology used in these fourth generation computers is microprocessor. We are using microprocessors to give input, and the technology is microprocessors. For example, IBM PC and Apple Macintosh are the fourth generation computers. At last, fifth generation computers, they were still developing. They are still in developing stage. It will be used in the future. It is based on the artificial intelligence. It can recognize speech and body gestures and capable of learning on their own. Now we'll see the types of computers. There are 4 types of computers. They are microcomputers, mini computers, mainframe computers and supercomputers. Each computer is designed for different purpose. First, we'll see about the microcomputers. They are also known as personal computers. They are designed for personal use. They are used in homes, schools, offices and so on. The computers that we are using now are personal computers. The computers that we are using for our personal is called personal computers or microcomputers. The next one is mini computers. Not for personal use. Mini computers are not for personal use. They are used in hospitals, universities, banks, etc. It can store more data so that we can use it in hospitals, universities, banks, etc. It has higher processing power and more expensive than microcomputers. They are costlier, that is more expensive than microcomputers and has higher processing power. The next one is mainframe computers. They are used in stock exchange, airlines, big businesses, banks and laboratories. They are some advanced type of computers, so they are used in big businesses like stock exchange, airlines, banks and laboratories. Much costlier than other computers but are very powerful, high speed. Mainframe computers are costlier than microcomputers and mini computers and has high speed with powerful processor. The last one is supercomputers, used in space research, satellite control and weather forecasting. This is the advanced type of computers that are used for space research, satellite control and weather forecasting. Supercomputers are used for advanced research. These are powerful and have high processing speed. For advanced research, we should have high processing speed and powerful computers. So, supercomputers are powerful and have high processing speed. Now, we are moving to our lesson 2. These are the topics that we are going to revise in our lesson 2. First topic is difference between system and application software. Then utility software and their functions. Next, application software and their functions. Then parts of Windows desktop and their functions. Next, delete and restore files. Next, change the computer color scheme and at last, Windows gadgets. Now we will see all the topics one by one. The first one is system and application software. This is the difference between the system software and the application software. First, in the system software, it consists of programs that manage and control the overall working of a computer system. It consists of programs that manages and controls the overall working of a computer system. The application software consists of programs that help you to do specific jobs such as create documents, send emails, draw and paint, and even play games. This you can write for define system software or define application software, or difference between system and application software. For both the questions you can write this one. Then we will see the types of system software. The first one is operating system. It helps the hardware work with the software, manages and controls the work of all hardware of the computer such as processor, input and output devices, and all application software. It helps the hardware to work with software, and it also manages and controls all the hardware of the computer. And the second type is utility software. This type we can see in the next slide. In the application software, now we are going to see the common application software that are used. First one is word processor, second one spreadsheet, third one database software, fourth one presentation software, fifth one graphics software, sixth one multimedia software, and at last the desktop publishing software. The word processor is used to work with text, spreadsheet is used for calculation purposes, database software is used to store large amount of data, presentation software is used to present something with the help of pictures, videos, music, etc. Graphic software is used for graphical purposes. Multimedia software is used for combining the text, picture, images, cartoons, etc. The last one is desktop publishing software. It is used for DTP works, that is office works. This is the difference between the system software and the application software. Now we are going to see the second type of system software, that is utility software and their functions. The first type of system software is operating system, and the second type of system software is utility software. First, the definition of utility software. Utility software are the programs that manage the functioning of a computer and its devices. It manages the functioning of the computer and its device. These programs help the computer system to perform better. With the help of utility software, the computer can perform better, that is, it can do its task better. The functions of the utility software is to perform the task in a better way. These are some of the utility software. They are antivirus software, backup software, and compression software. First one is antivirus software. It protects the computer from the malicious software called virus. It protects the computer from the harmful, malicious means harmful software called virus. For example, the antivirus software are MCAFE, Norton, and AVG. These are the antivirus software for our computer. The next one is backup software. It helps to create extra copies of important files in the computer. If you lost your data or if you delete your data mistakenly, you can take it if you take a backup. This backup will be stored in the backup software, that is, it will create the extra copies and store it in your computer itself. For example, the backup software are Google Drive and OneDrive. These are the backup software available for our computers. Then the last one is compression software. Shrink heavy files so that they take up less space. If your file is of bigger size, your system will take more space. For that only we can use compression software and shrink the files and so that they can be stored in a lesser space. To shrink the files, we are using the software, that is WinZip, WinRAR and 7-Zip. These are the software that are used to compress the files. Antivirus software, backup software and compression software or utility software that will help the computer system to perform better. Now we will see about the application software and their functions. Following are the common application software that we use. I already told what are the application software that we use. First one is word processor, second one spreadsheet, third one database software, next presentation software. First we will see the description of the software. Word processor is used to work with text. For example, MS Word, WordPad and OpenOffice Writer or the word processor. Next one is spreadsheet. Spreadsheet is used to work on numerical data to do calculation. If we want to do any calculations, we can use the spreadsheet. For example, MS Excel, OpenOffice Calc. These are the software that we are using for calculations. Third one is database software. It is used to manage and organize large amount of information. If we have large amount of information, we can manage it with the help of database software. Some of the database software are MS Access, OpenOffice Base and Oracle. Next one is presentation software. With the help of presentation software, we can display information in the form of slides with text, images, audio and video. We can do that is we can create slides with the help of text, images, audio and video and you can present something. For example, the presentation software are MS PowerPoint, OpenOffice Impress and Adobe Flash. Using these software, you can do your presentation. The next one is graphics software. Graphics softwares are used to work on images like drawings, graphs and cartoons. We can work with the images like drawings, graphs and cartoons and do the graphics in it. For example, Paint, TextPaint and Photoshop are some of the graphics software available. Next one is multimedia software. The multimedia software is used to work with audio, video and animation. If you want to work with audio, video and animation, you can use the multimedia software. Windows Media Player and Windows Movie Maker are the multimedia software available for our computer. Next one is desktop publishing software. It is also known as in short DTP software. It is used to design books, magazines, brochures and posters. If you see the books, magazines and posters, it will be in a specific design. This design can be done with the help of desktop publishing software. For example, CorelDRAW, Adobe InDesign and Quack Express are some of the DTP software available for designing books, magazines, brochures and posters. Next, parts of Windows Desktop and their functions. Windows has Graphical User Interface GUI. Windows has Graphical User Interface. With the help of this Graphical User Interface only, we are using our computer system. The first part of the Windows is Desktop. First screen that appears which has graphical symbols called icons. It is the first screen that appears after we are switching on our computer system. This screen is called desktop. It has graphical symbols called icons. It has many icons. If we click on it, double click on it, you can open it or you can see what are all the things stored in that icon. The next part is taskbar. it will be at the bottom of the home screen. It will be present at the bottom of the desktop. Desktop is called home screen. At the bottom of the desktop, there will be taskbar. The taskbar consists of start button, notification area, show desktop button and quick launch area. These four will be available in the taskbar. Start button will be on the extreme left. The notification area will be on the right, and it has icons like time, date and so on. It has small icons like time, date, and also it shows some of the notifications. Then show desktop button, vertical rectangle on the extreme right. It will be present on the extreme right of the taskbar. It will be like a vertical rectangle. Pressing on it, it takes you back to the desktop. If you are working in any other screen, if you want to come immediately to the desktop, you can press this show desktop button. So pressing it, it takes you back to the desktop. The last one is quick launch area. It is the middle portion. It is the middle portion that is available in the taskbar. It shows all the programs that are currently open on the system. If you are working with the Word, MS Word, it will show the MS Word icon in the quick launch area. What are all the programs that are currently open? They will be displayed in the quick launch area. Then we will see about the icons. Already I told icons are the graphical symbols that are available on the desktop. Some of the icons are computer icon, network icon, recycle bin icons. Computer icon, shortcut to all drives and their content on the computer system. If you want to see all the drives and their content, you can go to the computer icon and double click on it. It will show all the drives and their content that are stored in your computer system. The next one is network icon, to access shared files or devices in a network of computers and devices. With the help of this network icon, you can access the files that are shared from the other computer or other devices. Next one is recycle bin icon. When you delete a file or folder, it goes to the recycle bin. If you delete a file or folder from your computer, it will be stored in the recycle bin. If you are not deleting it permanently, it will be stored in the recycle bin. If you are deleting it permanently, it will not be stored in your computer system or it will not show in the recycle bin. Next one is we will see about the shortcut icons. Shortcut icons are the direct links to the actual programs, folders and files which are stored elsewhere. If in your computer a program is stored in somewhere but you want to go to this directly, if you want to go to this program directly, you can create the shortcut icon on the desktop and go to that program easily. They are the direct links for those programs. For example, if you want to create a shortcut icon for Word, you should go to Start, All Programs, Microsoft Office, and you have to drag the Microsoft Office Word 2010 and drop it on your desktop. This will create a shortcut icon for Word. In this way, you can create the shortcut icon for any program, folder or file that is stored in your computer system. Now, we will see how to delete and restore a file. First, if you want to delete a file from your computer system, right click on the file or folder that you want to delete and click on delete option. Then click on yes. It will be deleted and it will be stored in the recycle bin. If you want to restore that file or folder that you have deleted just now, you can go to the recycle bin. Recycle bin icon will be on the desktop. So double click on the recycle bin icon, Then right click on the file or folder that you want to restore, and then click on the option restore. It will be restored at the place where you have deleted it. If you are not deleting it permanently, you can restore it. Now we will see how to delete a file permanently. For this, you have to right click on the recycle bin. Go and right click in the recycle bin and click on empty recycle bin. If you are giving the option empty recycle bin, all the files that are stored in the recycle bin will be deleted permanently. Next, if you want to restore all the files, you should go to recycle bin and then click on the option restore all items. There will be an option called restore all items. Click on it so that all the files that are in the recycle bin will be restored to the places that you have from where you have deleted those files. Next, we'll see how to change the color scheme of your computer and the Windows gadgets. First, if you want to change the color scheme of your computer, you should right click on the desktop. You will have empty space on your desktop, so right click in the empty space on the desktop, then go to the option personalize and then click on window color. There will be a tab called window color. Go and click on it, then choose the color you want. If you want pink color or blue color, it will be available in that option. You can choose the color you want and click on save the changes to save all the changes that you have made, so that the themed color of your computer will be changed. Next, we'll see about gadgets. What is gadget? They are the mini programs like clock, slideshow, picture puzzle, etc. They are mini programs. If you want like a clock, you can use this gadget, or if you want to play a picture puzzle, you can use the picture puzzle gadget. For this, you should go to desktop and right click on it, then go to the option gadgets. It will be all the gadgets will be opened. You should double click on the gadget that you want on the desktop. If you double click on it, it will be displayed on the desktop. There will be 4 options on the gadget. They are close button, larger size, options and drag gadget. Close button is used to remove the gadget from desktop. If you don't want that gadget, you can remove it by clicking on the close button. Then larger size, make the gadget bigger. If you want to make the gadget, or if you want to see the gadget in the bigger size, you can click on the larger size. Third one is options. If you want to change any settings of that gadget, you can use that options button. The last one is drag gadget. Move the gadget anywhere on the desktop. If you want to place the gadget anywhere on the desktop, you can use this button and drag and drop it where you want that gadget. Next, we are moving on to the lesson 3. We are going to see the following topics in the lesson 3. First one is use the format painter tool. Second one is find and replace words in a document. Next, format pages in a document. Next one is set indents and spacing in text. Next one is set paragraph spacing, and the last one is preview and print a document. Now we'll see all the topics one by one. The first one is use the format painter tool. How to use the format painter tool? First, what is format painter tool? Why it is used? It helps for formatting from one text to another text. It will help for make the format of the target text in the form of source text. If you have the source text in one format, you can use the same format to the target text also. For that change, we can use Format Painter tool. First, you should select the source text. For formatting, you should select the source text, and then in the Home tab, in the Clipboard group, you should go to Format Painter. In the Home tab, under Clipboard group, you should go to the Format Painter. Pointer changes into brush. After going to the Format Painter, the arrow pointer will be changed into a brush. Drag and brush over the target text. You want to drag over the target text. Formatting of the target text will become the same as the source text. The format of the target text will become the same as the source text. Now both the source and the format text have same format. To make both the source and format text in the same format, you will use Format Painter tool. Next, we will see find and replace words in a document. If you want to find a word and replace it with another word in a document, you will do the following steps. First, we will see how to find a word. For finding a word, you should go to Home tab, and in the editing group, you should click on Find. After that, you should type the word you want to find. If you want to find the word don't, type don't, D-O-N-T. You should type the word don't in that find. After that, you want to replace it. Now we will see how to replace a word. Go to Home tab. In the editing group, you will see the option called Replace. Type the word you want to replace in the Find Want bar. If you want to replace the word don't, you should type the word don't in the Find What bar, D-O-N-T. If you want to find the word don't, type the word don't in the Find What bar. Type the word that you want to replace within the Replace with bar. In the Replace with bar, you want to type the word that you want to replace it with. For example, if you want to change the word don't into do not, you should type the word do not in the Replace with bar. The first word will be highlighted. The first place where you have used the word don't will be highlighted. If you want to replace it, click on Replace, or if you don't want to replace it, you can click on Find Next. If it shows the correct place, you can click on Replace. Understood? Now we will see how to format pages in a document. What are all the options that are available for formatting a page in a document? First, we will see about the page size. To change the page size, you should go to Page Layout, Size, and then you should change you can choose the option that you want. It will display many options like letter size, A4 size, etc. You can change the size that you want by going to Page Layout, Size, and then you can choose the size that you want. Next, if you want to change the page orientation, that is the direction of the page, either portrait or landscape. There are two types of orientation. They are portrait and landscape. If you want to change the orientation, you should do this. Go to Page Layout tab and then go to Orientation. Then you should choose whether you want portrait or landscape. Go to Page Layout tab, Orientation, and then choose whether you want in the portrait direction or landscape direction. Next, to set the margin, you should go to Page Layout tab. In the margins option, you can click on any option that is showing. Go to Page Layout tab, click on Margins, and then you can choose the margin, type of margin, design of margin that you want. Next, if you want to insert a page break, you can go to Insert tab, and then in the Pages group, you should click on Page Break. go to Insert tab. In the Pages group, click on Page Break. If you want to finish the page in the middle itself, you can insert a page break. For that, you should go to Insert tab, and then in the Pages group, click on Page Break. Your page break will be inserted. Next, columns. If you want to see your page in the form of columns, your page will be normally having only one column. If you want to see your page in the form of 2 or more columns like the magazines, you can go to this columns option. For that, you should go to Page Layout tab. In the Page Setup group, go to Columns and then click on the number of columns you want. If you want to see a page in the form of 3 columns, you should give the number as 3. Or if you want to see your page in the form of 2 columns, you should give your number as 2. For that, you should go to Page Layout tab. In the Page Setup group, you should go to Columns and give the number of columns you want. Like Page Break, if you want to insert a column break, you should do this. Go to Page Layout tab. In the Page Setup group, click on Breaks and then go to Column. If you want to make a column break, you should go to Page Layout tab, go to Page Setup group. In the Page Setup group, you should click on Breaks and then you should select the option Column. Next, if you want header and footer, you should do this. First, header means it will be appearing on the top of every page of your document. Footer means it will be appearing on the bottom of every page of your document. To insert your header or footer, you should do this. Go to Insert tab. Under Header and Footer group, you should go to Header option and then click on Edit Header. You should go to Insert tab. Under Header and Footer group, go to Header, then click on Edit Header. You can type the header text that you want and then double click on the empty space of your page. Then your header will be inserted to all the pages of your document. Next, to insert page number. How to insert your page number? Normally, we can insert our page number in the header or footer. That is at the top of your page or your bottom of your page. That is your wish. To insert page number, you should go to Insert tab. Under Header and Footer group, go to Page Number and then click on the desired style. If you go to that page number, it will show the style where you want to insert your page number, on the left side, bottom left or bottom right, or at the top middle of your page. Like that, it will show the style. You can select the style that you want so that your page number will be inserted to all the pages in the correct sequence. Now we will see about setting indents and spacing in the text. Indent means nothing but leaving some space before the start of a paragraph. For leaving that indent space, you should go to Page Layout tab and then go to Paragraph group. In the Paragraph group, you should click on the triangle symbol or upside triangle symbol, upside down. That is, you should click on the triangle symbol to increase the indent spacing, or if you click on the upside down triangle symbol, it will be decrease the indent spacing from left. From the left, you can increase or decrease the indent spacing as of your wish. Then tab setting. If you want to set the indent with the help of tab, you should do this one. Go to Home tab. In the Paragraph group, go to the dialog box launcher. In the Home tab, go to Paragraph group and click on the dialog box launcher. In the Paragraph dialog box, click on Indents and Spacing tab and then click on Tabs. In the Paragraph dialog box will be appeared as soon as you click on the dialog box launcher. In that Paragraph dialog box, click on Indents and Spacing tab. Under Indents and Spacing tab, go to Tabs. In the Tab Stop Position box, enter where you want to set the tabs. In the tab stop position box, you should enter where you want to set the tab. That is the distance where you want to set the tab. And then click on set and then click on OK. After entering the tab space distance, you should click on set and then click on OK. In this way, you can set the indents for your text. Next, if you want to set the spacing between the paragraphs or lines, you should do this. First, for setting spacing between the paragraphs, go to Home tab. In the paragraph group, go to Dialog Box Launcher. In the Home tab, under the paragraph group, go to Dialog Box Launcher. In the paragraph dialog box, after going to Dialog Box Launcher, it will display a paragraph dialog box. In that dialog box, set the spacing before to 18 points. There will be option called spacing before. You should set it as 18 points and then click on OK. If you click on OK, the spacing between the paragraphs will be set. And then set the spacing between lines from line spacing in the paragraph dialog box. In the paragraph dialog box itself, there will be an option called line spacing. You can set the spacing between the lines with the help of that option. The default line spacing is 1. If you want to set more than that, you can set with the help of that line spacing option like 1.5, 2, 2.5, etc. Like that, you can set the value for the spacing between the lines. Next, we are going to preview and print a document. After making ready all the information, you can print the document. Before printing a document, you should see how it will be printed. That is called preview. To preview a document, you should go to File, Print. If you go to File and click on Print, it will show the preview of a document. With the help of zoom slider available at the bottom, you can zoom in or zoom out the document. And then how to print a document. For that, you should go to File, Print. In the Print dialog box, choose the printer and select the number of copies in the Copies box. If you go to File, Print dialog box will be opened. In that print dialog box, choose the printer you want. If you are connected with 2 or more printers, you should choose the printer that you want and select the number of copies. 1 copy, 2 copy or 3 copies. How many copies you want, you should enter that number in the Copies box. Then click on Print All Pages and click on the required option. Then click on Print All Pages to print the pages and click on other required options if you want. Then at last click on Print your page. Your whole document will be printed. Now this is the portion for your half yearly exam. We have revised it fully, lesson 1, 2 and 3. All the 3 lessons we have revised. So you have to read the whole full lesson and all the book back exercises. Remember it, read it thoroughly and do it well in your half yearly exam. All the best for writing your half yearly exam. Thank you.